Hi everyone, it's me, Jean from BokPod, or Almost Rain Man on Reddit, and we're back for the first time in quite a while. Um, as you can see, I'm wearing the only Irish thing I have to wear, which is a Guinness hat I got for drinking a lot of Guinness. Um, and yeah, we're going to be talking about this series that Ireland and South Africa had going on, a nice two-test series. Um, and to celebrate that, I've got this a nice bottle of Jameson Select that my wife got me for our anniversary. So I'm going to pour one out and yeah, let's chat about it. So I'm going to show some clips from the games, but first, that's the good stuff. That's bloody good stuff. Let's talk about where we are as Springbok fans, eh? I really wanted to make a video after the final, but I was a bit rugbyed out, eh? Um, the Rugby World Cup was a lot of rugby, and especially for us South African fans. Um, 3 1 point wins in a row, winning the Rugby World Cup by 1 point. It got to us, eh? Um, our stress levels were a bit much. And at the end of the day, I think I had like a rugby hangover. I couldn't watch rugby for a long time. I know the URC was on. Um, I I started getting back in probably around about the middle of the Six Nations, second or third round is when I got back into rugby again. Um, I just had a bit of rugby hangover. Like I couldn't watch it anymore. And obviously there was a lot of news. We heard that Jerry Flannery had joined um, the Springbok coaching staff alongside the likes of Tony Brown. Um, Felix had left. So yeah, there was a lot of um, there was a there was a lot of changes going on and a lot of background stuff. And I think us as Springbok fans, we've been waiting for this. And now that we're three tests in, you can sort of see where the direction we're going in. And the test against Wales, um, I don't want to say it was a proving ground, but it was a proof of concept. And then we had the first test against Ireland, which was the real proving ground. And bells to bells. I mean, what a better place to test your new attack than against one of the most astute coaches and teams in the world. And yeah, it paid off. We won the first test. Um, and then the second test happened and we lost. And there's key things about each one that I'm going to speak to. But I want to go back for a second. So in 2018, 2019, Rassie and Jock look at the Springboks, they look at the international game. And what they see is that defense is going to be favored. Over the next couple of years, the team that's the best defensively is going to win the game. Why is that? Well, teams that keep hold of the ball get penalized for holding on, for going off your feet at the breakdown. Um, and there's a scary statistic that Sways the Brain mentioned on the breakdown, where after your fifth phase, the chances that you're going to get penalized starts increasing by around about 10% per phase. So Rassie and Jock say, right, we need to defend, but we can't just defend because you don't win a game on defense, right? You need to score tries. So we're going to build our game around defense and counter attack, right? So we've got awesome defense, great set piece, um, good counter attack, and then we've got probably one of the best kickers on the planet in Andre Pollard. So we can eke out penalties, we can crush them physically, and then when they're dead tired, our kicking game, which we will use to push them back the whole time, will give our wings the opportunity to counterattack. And this broadly led to success in 2019. We won the Rugby World Cup off of defensive pressure. Um, and I will forever remember sitting in a pub with my wife and family and friends, and we're watching that defensive set where England is just coming and coming, and the Boks are defending, and it's a green line, and they're not getting anywhere, and they end up taking 3 points, but it should have been 7, to quote the great Squidge Rugby. And that's the thing, is it was that defensive wall. We had this defensive mindset, and then you sort of know, right? We've set the defensive standard, and teams are going to look at South Africa and they're going to say, well, these guys had 4 tries conceded throughout the whole tournament. How did they get it right? We're going to defend like them. And we've seen lots of teams adopt something similar, not necessarily as aggressive as we do with the wings shooting in and the aggressive rush defense, but lots of teams have moved to the rush or even an aggressive drift where 1 or 2 guys will drift forward and the rest of the team forming a line behind them to push you in, to not to push you into the trams, to push you past the trams. They want you to go past the touch line, right? So you don't get to play side to side. And while this was going on, Ireland was sort of flying under the radar till about 2021, 2022 end of year. Ireland was sort of like they were building. Everyone knew Ireland was there, but they were building, and they built this relentless sort of attack. The sort of attack that is hard to stop because it's relentless. And the analogy I keep coming back to in my mind, because I'm a history nerd, is the concepts used in the Cold War in a small place in Germany called Fulda, and a place called the Fulda Gap. And the concepts that outlined this theoretical battle was, on the one side, was the Soviet army, like a whole field army, with more tanks than I think existed in the whole of Africa at that point, with helicopters, with APCs, with everything. So they had sheer numbers. It was this unstoppable machine, right? And on the other side was NATO and the US Army. And they didn't have the numbers. They didn't have quantity. They had quality, right? And so the US decided, well, we'll go nuts to defend this, right? We're going to build small little suitcase nukes. We're going to strap them to guys. These guys will jump out of the airplanes. They'll go to pre-positioned places. They'll fight to get there, set the nuke on a 15-minute timer. And if they don't die, they'll run away and get out. And then another guy came along and he said, well, there's something you're missing. You're looking at numbers versus numbers, right? But a battle isn't fought in numbers and space. There's another axis called time. Why don't we use time, right? And that's the thing. In Rusty and Jock's case, they said, well, what does an attack need? An attack needs time, but it needs the exact correct amount of time. An attack needs a tempo. An attack needs a pace. It's like music. You need a metronome. And they said, let's fuck up the metronome. Let's fuck up the beat. Let's fuck up the rhythm, right? We're fucking up everyone else physically, so we might as well fuck up the metronome. It's about this big. I'm sure Faf could handle it. He seems to have no problem handling people 6 times his size. So they said, we'll give ourselves time, but we'll take time from the attack. So how did they take time? They spoiled rucks. We just need to send one Malcolm Marx or Frans Malherbe or Bongi and Benambi into a ruck, and suddenly the attacking team needs to send 2 people, right? Because now you need to get Bongi off and then still secure the ruck. So you've sort of downgraded the numbers game for the attack, and now they've got slow ball. Your defense is set. And even if they think, okay, well, we've got to move for this, they're going to pass, but we take the time away from them by shooting out. So used to be the wingers shoot in, like very aggressively, and the 13 would drift out. And then it became, because Jesse Kriel is an absolute monster, he started shooting in very aggressively because he's got that speed and that physicality, and he will die for the Springbok jersey. I'm pretty sure he's going to die in the Springbok jersey. So it adapted, but we took time away from the attack because on defense you want time. You want to see what they're doing. On attack, you want a precise allocation of time. And this now leads to the second part. So Ireland are a very good team because they play that time, regardless of what you do. They'll send two guys to clear you out, and they'll still have 2 second rucks. They'll send guys to fuck you up, and they'll still have 2 second rucks. They'll play wide, 2 second rucks, 3 second rucks. So you really need to commit defensively really hard to beating them. And on attack, you need three things. You need the beat, so you need a specific amount of time. You need numbers. Generally, in military circles, if you want your attack to be successful, you need 3 times the amount of attackers that there are defenders, because defenders have it a lot easier. Their position is fixed, they don't have to guess anything, and they can see you come. Right? So the OODA loop is simpler. OODA loop is observation, orientation, decision, action, which is how we decide anything in life, how any action comes to us. So on attack, you need a specific set amount of time, and lastly, you need support. Right? So we need that beat, that rhythm on attack. We need numbers, and we need support. In military circles, this is usually called op tempo. Support will be tooth to tail ratio is what they normally talk about, and then that tempo is that pace. You know, if the first unit is going to be hitting the front line at this time, we expect them to reach degradation at this point in time or break through. So the moment they break through or they say mission accomplished, the next unit has to be hitting the front line. The second wave needs to be hitting. Right? So a lot of military concepts are applicable here. And Ireland use that very well. They know that time is generally the thing that a defensive team wants. So we'll take it away. How will we take it away? We'll play an immensely physical game. We'll clear out immediately. And our number 9 will be there all the time. He will just play the ball all the time. He will be there consistently. For Ireland, a long ruck is 3.5 seconds. For the rest of the world, 3.5 seconds is good, right? And for them, they think it's slow. So Ireland play the speed game. They want to take the time away from defense, and they want to suck you in by carrying narrow, by carrying here where your forwards are, but will force your forwards to work hard here, and they can't drift out. And then when we do go wide, you're stretched to the bare minimum. So Ireland really play on that time factor, and it's almost a dichotomy of coaching where Rassi is the coach who says we'll take time and deny you the ability to use time as a factor, and Andy Farrell is the coach who says, well, we don't need time. We're so ingrained, we're so set, we're like an atomic clock, nothing's going to throw us off. And I think that's what made this test series so great, was the fact that you've got this dichotomy of playing styles, and you have probably the most consistent team in the past 5 years in World Rugby, past 4 years in World Rugby, going up against the greatest tournament team. I'll be honest, the Springboks are great at winning tournaments, but they're really bad at, doing between World Cup things. Even before 2019, we had I think a 60 odd something win percentage, 70%, and then post COVID we had a 66% win percentage. Now we're sitting on 66 again with 2 out of 3. So obviously tomorrow we're playing Portugal. This is Friday night before playing Portugal, by the way. So yeah, it's interesting that we had this dichotomy where we had the greatest tournament team back-to-back or BokPod world champs going up against one of the most consistently performing teams in the world. And fucking hell, I don't know about you guys, but the rugby was absolutely fucking fantastic. Not great for my heart rate, but fucking fantastic. And yeah, I want to give props to both teams because there were it was such fine margins. And I think what did Ireland in the first game is the same thing that undid the Springboks in the second game. In the first game, the Springboks had a guy at fullback called Willie Leroux. And Willie Leroux is a very divisive character. I know everyone overseas and a lot of Bok fans have come around and they see Willie Leroux for the value he brings, especially after kicking out Leinster with the Bulls. But Willie Leroux has one thing that a lot of guys in the South African team don't necessarily have, and that's patience on attack. Because on attack, the Springboks often are hell for leather. Alles in, fuck it, let's go. Ride or die. Bitches, now. And Willie is often the guy saying, oh, wait, wait, just breathe. It'll happen. It'll happen. He's the guy waiting for that moment, waiting for that second to go, now we pull the trigger. Now it's on. And he'll fill in the right gap. He'll fill that right hole. And that's why that first try was so good. Ireland weren't expecting it. Willie Leroux drifts up. He becomes the second link. And we've got the numbers. We're hitting the tempo mark exactly. And then we're over. It's a try. Come the second test, Willie Leroux falls out completely. He's out within the first 10 minutes. I think within the first 5 minutes. Now that tempo keeper is gone. And we see the knock-on effect during the match of the South African players outrunning their support. We get a breakthrough. That's great. We get a breakthrough. This guy's going. He's going for the line. No support. The moment he goes down, there's no support. Or we play ourselves into a corner. From a really great position, we get a really good line break. We end up in a great position, and then what now? We've overplayed. We've all rushed in, but no one's taken the half a second, like Willie Leroux on fullback, just jogging in, saying, guys, 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 play phases, it'll come, it'll come. Play phases, don't rush it, don't rush it. And I think that's why he's often upset. Because, okay, besides the fact that sometimes it looks like he's trying to fight with everybody, including the ref, I think he's upset that the rest of the team doesn't just breathe and, feel the game. Because he's got a great intuition for attacking rugby. He's got a way to spot space and knowing when to pull the trigger that is honestly very hard to match. There's a lot of individual performers in the Springbok team who are world class. From Oxenchair in the front row, Malcolm Marx, Frans Malherbe, Eben Etzebeth, Arge Snyman, we can practically list the whole squad. But they all guys who will say, go, 100%. Veli, I feel, is the one guy that will pull back and say, hold on, it's not time to commit 100% yet. Let's play it. Let's play a phase. Let's play another phase. These guys are going to crack, but we need to give them time to crack. We need to keep the pressure. And I think that's what makes him great. And we really missed him during the second test. There was a lot of credit to Ireland, but I think it would have been a lot harder for them to do what they wanted to do if Veli had been on the field, if he didn't go off. And what's worse, he almost did it to himself by sticking his head in front of James Lowe's knee. But anyway, let's dive into the clips. It's just under 3 minutes. The Boks are going wide, fast and early. Leroux gets the ball, goes to Creel. Creel draws the defenders before going to Khaleesi, who takes one defender out before going to Orenter, who does an amazing run, steps without losing speed, and places the ball pretty much underneath the poles. Right, so in this case, Ireland is working the phase play beautifully, and what we're about to see is an excellent play. They've drawn the Bok defense close with repeated carries by the forwards. Now what's going to end up happening is Crowley's going to get the ball, and he's going to throw a beautiful loop pass. That's going to go to Sheehan, who draws one defender, who ironically is Willie Leroux, making his one mandatory tackle as fullback. He pops off to James Lowe, who does an excellent job of staying in touch, and then giving to Osborne, who scores a debut try. So the next try comes off a South Africa scrum. We've got the feed, and Ireland get pinged for illegal scrummaging. Porter goes to the ref and he's trying to plead his case, but the ref doesn't want to have any of it. And Pollard takes the penalty kick. It's a pretty good kick, and it's going
It's going to go the distance. But James Lowe at the other end has decided he's got something to say, and he tries to keep the ball in touch. Now, the problem is no one's there to receive the ball. So what ends up happening is the ball lands infield, and who shows up? Cheslin Bloody Colby, who takes the opportunity to have a little go at kicking the ball. Ball grubbers on, and he ends up in the try zone. Ireland's last try of the first test comes off a short kickoff, and Beard manages to snag the ball out of Springbok hands. He takes a hard line in and goes to ground before the ball ends up with Bielhem, who does whatever that maneuver on the ground is. I'm not sure 100% if that's illegal or if it's the first time it's ever been done. But Ireland are playing fast and hard here, and they're sending the ball wide from one side of the field to the other side of the field, pulling the Springbok defence alongside them. This allows Nash to spot an opportunity, and he takes the half gap. From there, he sends it wide to Lowe, who doesn't get the chance to go onto the ball with momentum, but does manage to stay in field, pops off to Beard, who does the short run in, putting Ireland in a very good position. In the second match, Ireland's try comes fast and early, and the Irish fly-off puts in a beautiful cross kick, which is contested in the air by Pollard, and then the ball goes into the dead zone area where Orense grounds it. Pollard then takes the goal line dropout. Now, South Africa are aware that they've been burned once here, but the ball, it's not the greatest goal line dropout. The ball bounces favorably for Doris, who takes a hard line in, and it's the first of two phases made to set up this carry. Slowly outside the picture, the formation is forming, and before we know it, we've got the flood the channel move, and again, Conor Murray going in for the try. The last clip of the second test, we see Sasha FM taking an Irish kick into touch, and this grants them the line out. Now, you can talk about right or wrong in high pressure situations. It's a lot of pressure on him, and I'm sure he was trying to do his best. But nonetheless, Frawley has seen the writing on the wall, and he's decided he's not going to play the Irish system. He's seen the quarterfinal and what it looks like. We're not going for phases. He calls it very clearly. In fact, the commentator on this particular clip called it about 5 seconds before the camera cuts to Frawley, clearly saying, couple of phases, then drop her. And that is absolute big match temperament. For a guy who was, lambasted for two missed drop goals, stepping up and doing that is just massive. The last thing I want to talk about is this particular screenshot with the timing of the drop goals taken by Pollard. Now, Pollard tightened this match up real well because Willie Leroux goes off early to an HIA. That means that his right hand in attack is now no longer there. We've got Sasha FM on 15, and while Sasha FM ran some brilliant lines, we essentially have two tens who are sharing the field. And for a debutant at 15 against the second best team in the world, we can't really expect that much, even though he made some absolutely fantastic runs. Pollard did an excellent job of keeping this game close, and we can see the timing on the penalties. He took South Africa back to their strengths. Let's play the set piece, let's play the hard game, let's start knocking them back with penalties. And we can see the timing there, just one after the other after the other. And that puts South Africa back in contention.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. There's a couple of other standout moments. I mean, Oxenchair played his heart out in the second test, doing everything he could possibly do. He's got his own highlight reel that is highly deserving. Um, Grant Williams with chasing down his own kick, and what a kick it was. Like that kick went straight to the line and then bounced parallel all the way. And the moment Frawley got it, he just ate him up, pushed him outside into touch. Um, so many small moments. Sasha FM running beautiful lines. And on Sasha FM, I just want to say, what a fucking guy, hey? Like, what a fucking talent. Daai ouetjie gaan nog plekke gaan. Um, having the humility and the character and the good grace to say, maybe my communication to my teammates could have been better. That that is deep. That guy's going to go places because that's the type of people. That's exactly what Rassie wants in the squad to say, yeah, the run was good, but if I had listened to my teammates, maybe we could have gotten a try. And there's an instance of that, where we're getting the ball, he gets the ball, and you can see Andre's calling for go wide, pass to me, I can pass, we've got numbers. And he decides, I'm going to go in, there's a line to run here, and it ends up in nothing. So I think that sort of having the sort of character to stand up and say, yeah, you know what, I learned my lesson, or I'm busy learning my lesson. I think that kid's special. That kid is really special. His stocks have gone up immensely. But yeah, Ireland just came out the second test, and they took us to it. They held us to the line, and Andre Pollard did a great job of tightening it up, saying, "Guys, we can't play the expansive game we want to. We need to play the way we've played. Let's get the penalties. Let's get ourselves back in it." But I ultimately think we were let down by that mentality, and we had our best opportunity after the Doris yellow card. If we'd gone for the corner and we'd pushed the maul or tried to move the ball wide, I think we would have gotten a try, and that would have swung momentum massively. Like, we had good game management, we had forced ourselves back into the game. And I think we decided, well, we've got penalties. Let's just stick with penalties. Against Ireland, penalties are never going to win you a game. You need to try. Ireland is the type of team who, while being the antithesis to the Springboks, are so much the same that they just don't want to go away. It's minute 79, it's minute 81, it's minute 85. They don't want to go away, and I love it. That it's beautiful rugby. You like being tested against the best, and we were tested against the best. This was the world champs versus the most consistent team in recent history. And I don't think anything else than a 1-1 draw would have done either team justice. Um, so yeah, but I'm very excited to see where Tony Brown takes our attack. I think it's going to be beautiful. I hope he's got a couple of surprises in store for his homeland when we play against them. My concern is the Wallabies under Joe Schmidt. While not completely resurgent, I do think they're licking their lips at the opportunity to run us close or to possibly beat us, because that would be a massive confidence booster for the Wallabies. And it would instantly, lift spirits, get recognition going again. So, yeah, that's it from me. It's really cold outside, and I apologize for the very bad editing in this video. My friend who normally does the editing is very busy, so I had to do it, and I'm not very proficient at it. Anyway, drop us a like and a subscribe in your comments below, and I'll reply when I can. One last thing. While I do love Wibble Rugby, the fact that he made a drop goal video right after Frawley beat us with a drop goal is a low blow. There's a link to the video in the description, as well as a link to Squidge's video, which is infinitely better than mine. But it's a low blow, and I have to say, I don't like it. I do like this Jameson.